Good morning, Blood Bowl coaches, and welcome to the Star City Blood Bowl League Season 8 Round 7 update, where we go through the standings as we go into the last 2 weeks or 2 rounds of Season 8. Playoffs are starting to shape up. We've got a couple people that have clinched a playoff spot, which is really great. Congratulations to them. And we'll kind of announce and look at those and see who's kind of first out, who's actually still in playoff contention going through these last 2 rounds. So you can get a maximum of 2 points for a win. So if you win your last 2 games, you can get up to 4 points, which means right now in the Blue Ridge division, the magic number you need to just have a chance is 10. So if you have at least 6 points and you win your last two, some other people lose out. You might actually find yourself in there if you get a good Somberger score, which rates kind of the difficulty of your opponents at the time or the success of your opponents at the time that you play them. So if you beat someone who is higher up in the rankings, then you move up ahead of people that beat someone lower in the rankings. But it's a way for you to kind of see if you have, say, your last 2 games are against two of the coaches in the, say, the top 3 or 4 in the division, and you win both of those games, you might certainly find yourself edged into a playoff spot. So, looking at the Blue Ridge division right now, we have um, looks like no one here has specifically clinched a playoff spot yet. The Southeast Purple Haze need at least one draw to be sure to make it into the playoffs. The magic number right here is 13 in this division right now to get in. So 13 points would be enough to clinch them a playoff spot because it's so many that both the Malice Cowboys and the Kansas City Dark Elves I don't think can pull off. Let's see if they lose their last two. These two win their last two. That's 14. I guess really they need more than a draw. If they could win, would be, I think, the magic number. They have a pretty high Somberger, so they do need a win. So they need a win in one of these last 2 matches to guarantee a playoff spot. Otherwise, some things could happen down here with the Malice Cowboys and the Kansas City Dark Elves. And if, 2, 3, 4, and 5 win their last games, the Purple Haze may find themselves knocked out of the playoffs. But that could be the same for really any of the teams in the top 4 right now. So the Nightcrawlers, the Reapers, or the Cowboys, if they don't finish strong these last 2 games, then they might find themselves bumped out. Alternatively, the Oathbreakers and Corned Beef could still find a way in. They need some pretty big wins against some pretty big opponents. I know the Oathbreakers are playing the Nightcrawlers coming up. I'm not sure who Corned Beef plays this last couple rounds, but we can take a look at that and see if they have a chance. So looking at the scores right now, there was really no change at all in the rankings this round. Everybody stayed in the exact same place they were during round 6. And really, it was the top 5 teams picking up wins this week. The bottom 5 teams picked up losses. Right now, as far as net touchdowns go, the Purple Haze have a +9 net. I think that's the highest of anybody there. While the lowest is currently the Marlin Bay Marauders with a -14 net. As far as casualties go, let's see. The Cowboys have a +15 net casualty. The Reapers have +16. So the Reapers right now are kind of wiping face with knocking some players into the casualty box. And the lowest, who's gotten beat up the most? Looks like the District Decimators. Yeah, the District Decimators with a -9 are currently the lowest net casualties. Completion wise, right now it's not even close. It's the Purple Haze have 11. The Nightcrawlers have had 2 completions. That was closest behind. And then just looking at fouling, net fouling right now, the Purple Haze and the Reapers have a +10. The Kansas Dark Elves have gotten outfouled pretty tremendously by a total of -19. And then there's a +15 for the District Decimators. So right now the District Decimators are the foulingest team in the division. Somberger, so Somberger's a good way to look at kind of like, I don't want to call it like strength of schedule, but sort of like how well they've been doing against higher opponents. So right now the Purple Haze have beaten a number of opponents that are ranked pretty high with their score. So their Somberger's right now the highest at 33. And so they're sitting at roughly 1150 team value. And so right now the top four is shaped up of two tier one teams, two tier two teams, one redraft, and three brand new teams coming in right now. Looking at the Mill Mountain. So right now, looking at the Mill Mountain, the way this plays out, the Talabine Valley Titans are our first team to clinch a playoff spot, regardless of how their last two games fall out. Um, there's just no way for them to miss the playoffs at this point, the way the rest of the division is doing. So congratulations to Fluff and the Titans on clinching a playoff spot in season 8. So looking at what happened this week, the top four teams picked up wins again. Did anyone move spots? Nobody moved spots again this round, so no changes there. The Box Art Barons picked up a win for their first time in 4 games, shockingly, so congratulations to them as well. And it looks like right now, as far as points go, who could actually make it in the playoffs? So anybody with at least 6 points right now can make it in. So our first four out are going to be the Stinky Skinks, Box Art Barons, Midnight Maulers, and Fuzzy Teeth Fingerlings. I didn't really say it down here, but the District Decimators, Death Dodgers, and Marlin Bay Marauders will not be making the playoffs, regardless of how these last 2 rounds shape up. So um, as far as net touchdowns go, so right now I think it's a plus 11 for the Titans. Yep, plus 11 for the Titans, but both the Prowlers and the Pathogens have a plus 10, so they've been doing really well. Casualty wise, it looks like the Thunder Mountain Rampage with a plus 19, which leads the league currently in casualties. As far as injuries go, the Rampage have also been able to avoid injury, so is the Prowlers with both 17 and 16 net injuries. So that's kind of helped them kind of stay healthy, stay their positionals on the field, and help them get their wins. And then looking at fouling, very little fouling in this division, but the Stinky Skinks have a plus 10 fouling, so they're the foulingest team in the division, right? Or this division. And then let's see, looking at Somberger right now, I think 50 is the highest in the league. Nope, 52. So Bob has beaten a couple more higher quality opponents than Fluff in this matchup. So his wins are slightly more valuable. His 6 wins are a little more valuable than Fluff's 6 wins in a draw. So that might just be a little bit indication of where those teams are as far as either coach skill wise or just development wise at this point. Sitting right now, we have 2 redraft teams in the top 4, 2 non-redrafts. Total of 2 tier 2, 2 tier 1 teams falling into the top 4. So that kind of takes us through the standings. Let's just do the honors. So looking at team honors right now, the Passing Pathogens have the highest team value at 1780. Next behind them is a couple teams that are floating around 1375 to 1525. So probably it looks like these are all, at least the top 4 are playoff contention teams. So most of those are sitting around 1400, 1450 right now. Most famed right now, we have 2 teams that have fans of 6. That's the Valley Titans and the Thunder Mountain Rampage. Most experienced right now, so this is cumulative experience on the team through all season. So it would obviously make sense that some of the redrafts would be up there. 270 SPP gained on the Purple Haze, 190 for the Titans, 173 for the Pathogens, and then the redraft for the Kansas City, 129. So, and then we have a non-redraft sitting at 113. So this is kind of indicative of how non-redraft teams can catch up to redraft teams in a league. You think about it, the Kansas City Dark Elves had almost twice as many games to accumulate this 129 SPP on their team that they've got currently on there. And it's something that can quickly be made up by the end of a season by a non-redraft team. Looking at best performance right now, so the Reapers are sitting at 74 performance points. With the Purple Haze right behind at 72. Most scorer right now, so that's the Valley Titans with 16 touchdowns scored, 15 for the Pathogens. Best defense, so we have 4 teams that have only allowed 4 touchdowns throughout the season. That's the Prowlers, the Nightcrawlers, Kansas City Dark Elves, and the Rampage. Most beasts. So this is most casualties caused so far this season. So we have the Thunder Mountain Rampage and Salt Life at 28 and 24. Most injured. So the District Decimators have taken on 28 injuries so far, 22 for the Purple Haze and 21 for the Nightcrawlers. Most deadly. So this is the team that's killed the most players, and that is the Black Pyramid Sentinels, who have killed a whopping 7 players, almost double the next person behind them. So congratulations to them. Most dirty players, so that's the District Decimators with 24 fouls committed. Most sent offs, so the Purple Haze have gotten caught the most with 5 sent offs. Most completions, 11 for the Purple Haze. Best stunty team is the District Decimators with a 21% win percentage. And then the best run, so the most consecutive wins in a row right now is the Talabine Valley Titans, the Purple Haze, both with 5. And then the worst run right now is the Marlin Bay Marauders, who have had 7 consecutive losses this season through 7 rounds. I'm looking at the players. So most valued players right now, there's 2 players. They both play for the same team. That's Sneak Scuttle Spike and Flicks Lateral, sitting at 205K. Most valued big guy is Bradley Deathguard Hawken with 220K. Most valued stunty are just some chameleon skinks with no skills. This chameleon runner, I guess he would have a random, sitting at 70K. And then looking at most experience, so right now Elizabeth Bathroy, the Vampire Blitzer for the Nightcrawlers, has accumulated 42 SPP this season, followed by Flicks Lateral and Sneak Scuttle Spike with 37 and 34. Best performance right now is Flicks Lateral with 21 performance points, which is a 4-point lead over the second place player. Most scorer right now, that's Sneak Scuttle Spike, who has found the end zone 10 times this season, followed by Lucian Wigglebutt with 8 touchdowns. So most beast, Eleanor Geisler has a whopping 12 casualties. I think that's enough to put them up into the Hall of Fame leaderboard for casualties in a single season, so they can only go up from there. Um, we also have Albert Rothman, who's had committed 9, following behind. And then we have most injured. So Sebastian and Bartholomew have accumulated 5 and 4 injuries throughout 7 games. So over 50% of the time, they're getting taken out of the game. Most MVPs. So Dongo's gotten 3 MVPs. Lane High Tide Stevens, also 3. Alistair, Karathak, and Zagrot have all gotten 3 MVPs throughout the season. Most dirty players. So King Julian has committed 10 fouls for the District Decimators. And most sent off is a handful of players. Hitchcock, the zombie lineman for the Death Dodgers, would be leading that right now. And then most completions is Flicks Lateral with 11 completions. No one has recorded an interception so far this season. So let's look at the upcoming rounds. So we have kind of a potential playoff matchup, I guess, or really this is fighting for the last playoff spot. Both of these teams, I think, are tied with 10 points apiece, sitting at 4th and 5th. So this is a must-win for the Kansas City Dark Elves, which will not knock them ahead of the Malice Cowboys. So they have to go in trying to win this one pretty heavily. Looking at offensively, the Kansas City Dark Elves are playing a slightly better offense and defense, so they have a little bit of edge on both sides of the ball. Brutality-wise, though, it's the Cowboys that are both causing injuries and resisting getting hurt. Neither of these teams are probably going to look to commit a foul. There's kind of a 50-50 shot. Maybe the Cowboys commit one, but they haven't historically fouled a bunch during the season. So looking at these teams, lots of block, lots of guard to get through. Do we have any players that can skill up? I think they've all skilled up already. I guess there's a random on the troll if it was going to be taken, but probably not worth it. Sitting at 12 players, 3 rerolls, so 1490 against the Kansas City Dark Elves, who are missing their star Ligonius Foot Spike. So that will hurt them a little bit. That's obviously dropped their SPP or their team value a little bit. So they will be taking on a journeyman, or they need to purchase. What have they not purchased? That would help them. I mean, you could buy a player, I guess, but probably not worth it. So we're talking, what were they? 1490 minus 1230. 1490 minus 1230. So we're talking 260K in inducements. And then we need to take away another 70 though, because we have to get the journeyman in there. So 190K. What can you get for 190K? Probably not a lot. Helmet, Glorial may change their game a little bit. That's a little different play style than probably what Ron is used to, but it would definitely help them save rerolls on pickups, give them a passing attack that they currently don't have. You do have to protect her though, because she is only strength 2. And she does have dodge, which helps her survivability a little bit. But this might be good because she's passing on really a 1 plus with accurate. And so she's accurate would make it a 1 2 I guess 4 5 1 2 yeah 1 2 4 5 I guess I can't remember as accurate just quick and short passes, but doing quick dump offs and things like that to players wouldn't be that bad of an idea. um, Willow Rosebark might be kind of a decent pick. I mean, obviously the Dauntless would help against some of the Black Orcs, but armor 9 plus, no block ability, probably not worth the money. Where do I think I would spend the money though? I'm probably taking a wizard, and I would probably take the Drukai Sports Sorceress. So I think the Drukai Sports Sorceress has a zap, which would be able to knock the ball carrier down. I think it's a 3 plus in this edition, but it's something that I would take as just a threat. You know, you do have to remember to use it. I know I took it one time in a previous season and forgot to use it throughout the whole game. Didn't come into play, but it was something that would have helped. What else could we do here? I think that's about all that you can really take. So that would leave 30K. I mean, you could get a weather mage just to see if like the weather's bad. You could turn it bad for a turn or something to hope they like fumble the pickup or something like that. But the weather mage is probably, or the mascot is probably what I would do. So wizard, weather mage, or wizard and mascot, and see if you can't get in there and score some touchdowns. Like I said, looking at Glorial, I like Glorial a lot, so I might be a little biased, but that might be a play there. What do I think this game will be? Oh man. Um, Seeing as this is a must-win game for the Dark Elves to make sure they get into the playoffs, I see them playing really aggressively, which I think is a good thing in this instance, as long as they do so um, and avoid some injuries. So if they have good numbers, I think this could be a 2-1 Dark Elf over the Orc um, in this round. So looking at the next one, Corned Beef against the Reapers. So Corned Beef could get a good win right here. That would give them a good 2 points over someone who's in a playoff spot, which is kind of the thing you want. Um, Corned Beef's got an average 1.1 versus 1.6 offense, 2.9 versus 3.3. So the Reapers have the advantage on offense and defense here. They also have the advantage on brutality and resisting getting hurt and dirty players. So they're pretty heavily favored in this matchup going into it. Pretty healthy team here. Let's see. Claws might be useful if you can get a hold of some mummies or other players in general. So 10, 11 players gives them an extra 50K. So they're sitting at, math is hard, 1430. The Reapers, they're missing a Blodge player, but they've got 11. So they're going to get an inducement. So 1430 minus 1265. So 165K inducements. What do you take? I don't think any of those stars are worth it. A mercenary ghoul? And you got so much money. I don't know. I might take a gamble on Frankelheim. I don't think you really need these players. I can't remember what the Wicked Witch does. or some of these wizards. I'm not familiar with the wizards for Sylvanian Spotlight, but they might be pretty good to look into to see if they have anything good. Um, a wizard's probably the right play. 65. So you couldn't buy a player and get a 65. I would do one of two things. I would either one, buy an extra lineman and then take a mercenary ghoul, or I would look at a wizard. So what I think is going to happen here, I think this one's still a pretty easy win for the Reapers. I'm going to go 2-1 with the Reapers over corned beef. Going at the next one, we have the Purple Haze and the District Decimators. So this is going to be a really rough one for the District Decimators, I think. They're just not probably going to have the speed to keep up here. Flix Lateral is missing the match, which keeps some of the team value low, but that also keeps it low for here. So very little inducements for the district decimators. Team looks pretty healthy otherwise. 245k. 3 SPP, 30 there. District decimators, what are they doing? So they're missing Congos. So they're down a Brawler Pro Ogre, but very little SPP. I think this one's going to be a little tough. I guess comparing these teams, Purple Haze play better offense, better defense, hurt more players. They're pretty similar on the amount of hurt they take. They both foul a ton. So the question is there anything worth fouling on either of these teams if it's not just an ogre or, one of the Skaven, I guess. I think there will be less fouls than normal from both of these teams because the amount of foul targets are much smaller, and the chance that the Purple Haze are knocking down ogres is going to be small. So I don't think they have to worry too much about ogres getting fouled. Who do I think will win this? Let's see. 11, 55, 10, 35, 10, 120. What do you take? I mean, you could take some bombas, but now that they cause turnovers, they're a little less useful. Puggies, probably not useful. Nabla, Scrappa. Strength 2. So, I mean, I'd probably just take Bomber and Cindy and run both of them. And that would have enough room on the roster to take both. So I'd probably take Bomber, Cindy, and 20k left. Assistant coach, temporary assistant coach. Try and bomb some players, get some good armor breaks. I mean, the good thing is if you get the bomb, throw it directly to some Skaven, something like that, blow it up with Bomba's skill. Hope to get some 8+ armors or really 7+ with Mighty Blow. Remove some players and take it off that way. So yeah. What do I think is going to happen? I still think this is pretty easy for Purple Haze unless they just get bombed to death. So I'm going to give it 3-0. I'm going to give it 3-0. Purple Haze beating the District Decimators. Death Dodgers in the Marlin Bay Marauders. So this is kind of a 9th and 10th battle for last place, I guess. If the Marlin Bay Marauders can pull out a win here, I think they will move into 9th and the Death Dodgers will move down. Both of these teams have really struggled to find the end zone throughout the whole year. Defensively, the Death Dodgers are playing a little better defensively, but the Marlin Bay Marauders are hurting more people, fouling more. And what are we looking at here? So 1335, pretty healthy team. Really hasn't had just the ability to accumulate SPP as well as some of the other teams, but really hasn't been beat up too much. The team is starting to shape up like a decent looking chosen team. So that's working in their favor a little bit. 10 players, so they're down. So it'll be 11-10 versus 1335. Or I'm sorry, 12-10. 1335 minus. Oh, what am I doing? 1335 minus 1210. 125K in inducements for the Marauders. What you taking? Probably, gosh, I don't know. Papa Skull Bones and can't even take Acorn too. Papa Skull Bones and a couple part-time assistant coaches. I don't know. It's gonna be tough either way. What I think is gonna happen? Do they have 4 blockers? They have 4 blockers. No big guy. No money for a big guy. Mm, I actually think this one's gonna go the Death Dodgers. I'm gonna give it 2-0 Death Dodgers over the Marlin Bay Marauders. Last up, Oathbreakers against the New River Nightcrawlers. So this is a must-win game for the Oathbreakers if they want to break into the playoffs. The Nightcrawlers um, certainly don't want to lose this game. If they win, I think they clinch a playoff spot. But they are playing a little bit better offense, a little bit better defense, hurting more players, but they are getting hurt a little more. So they're more prone to susceptibility. They do foul a couple times a game. Nothing too crazy. Being led by Elizabeth Bathroy, which is their kind of super vampire block, dodge, sidestep pro. Total of 5 blitzers on the roster. Sitting at 12 players right now. Enough money to buy another Thrall. They might do that. I'll have to look at what the inducements look like. Couple wrestle linemen, so that'll help mitigate some of the block of the Oathbreakers. And then looking at the Oathbreakers, they are missing a Chaos Dwarf blocker, which hurts them a little bit. But they do have 5 blockers, Rangoon, lots of guard. So the strength 4 of the vampires is still going to be not quite. It might just be there's a lot of 1-dies being taken from both sides in this instance. The benefit is both sides do have a lot of block on the vampires, but tackle may bring down some of the dodgers. So hobgoblins, there is a kick hobgoblin, which will help and need to be taken into account. A couple mighty blow players up here, but otherwise pretty standard chaos dwarf team. 170K sitting on. It's not worth firing anybody probably. So as far as what do we have for inducements, I don't think there's any, right? 20K breakers could get a anywhere from 20 to, if they pick up an extra lineman, I guess 60K. So what do I think this is going to be? I think it's going to be a tough one. I think it's going to be a draw. I'm going to say it's 1-1. But I do kind of think that the Chaos Dwarves have an edge here. I think this is a scary team for vampires. So they might be able to pull it out, but I'm going to go with a draw 1-1 for this one. But I do think the Oathbreakers need to come out trying to win as much as they can if they want to make it into the playoffs. All right, so looking at the Mill Mountain Division, we have the Passing Pathogens and the Black Pyramid Sentinels. This is another potential playoff match where the Black Pyramid Sentinels need to win out their last 2 games. So they're going to have to be coming hard, and they'll be coming with probably lots of inducements. 16 players on the Passing Pathogens, led by Influenza. Nobody's hurt, which is probably the first time ever for this team. With a full healthy team, they were able to pull out a pretty big win last week. The Black Pyramid Sentinels are sitting at, did they get their 4th Tomb Guardian back? They did. He's gotten a couple SPP, or he got MVP. So he's trying to get that skill back. Skeleton, Blitzers, what's he missing? Anything? Nothing. He doesn't have like a foul skeleton, so that's probably something I would consider picking up. Is just a 12th foul skeleton, so that you can foul, have the reserve, or possibly replace somebody. Because I do think as Tomb Kings, you're going to need to get some removals to be able to keep up with the speed of the Skaven. But you're going to get a lot of help in inducements. Gosh, 1780 minus 1250, 530K. That's a lot of money. Get 2 stars. What 2 stars do you take? You take Wilhelm, and you take Kraken Crumble Parry, and have 5 strength 5 guys, or Frankenstein. I think you definitely take Wilhelm. Wilhelm, a wizard, hireling sports wizard, so you can fireball a bunch of Skaven or a Skaven cage. And then what's that put you at? You still got money left, so I can't remember how much. 220 for Wilhelm? 220. 220 minus 150. You can get another wizard. Um, player agent. That gives you pro. This one gives you skills. I can't remember which one they are. Um, extra reroll, a bribe, an apothecary. Man, I don't even know what you'd spend that money on. Maybe just take Bryce the Slice. Yeah, so you could take Wilhelm, Pro Stand Firm. I would do Helmet, not Bryce. Helmet because he's faster. He also has Pro, which will help in case you get kickback. Um, he's also got Stand Firm. So Helmet, Wilhelm, Hireling Sports Wizard. That's your 3 inducements. Go to town, fucking shit up pretty much. Who do I think's gonna win this one? I don't know. I mean, this is a tough one to call. I think the inducements have a lot to play in this. If the Black Pyramid Sentinels can receive, work their way down the field, work a bunch of Skaven off, really hurt some of their positionals, I could see them winning. I'm going to go with 2-1 with Maurice winning this one in the passing pathogens. But I definitely think it's winnable by the Tomb Kings by far, especially with the inducements that they're getting. Salt Life and Stinky Skinks. So Salt Life is in 6th, Stinky Skinks in 7th. I think Salt Life does have a chance into the playoffs. Am I right? I'd have to look back. But they definitely need to win. Yeah, they're at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they could get 10 points. So what you would need is Pathogens to lose both their last games, Sentinels to win one but lose the other one, and you win both. So you could get in, but you got to win both. You need a couple other things to happen, um, but you need those magical 10 points. So must win, try and win big, I think as well would help. So both these teams aren't scoring a ton. They get about 1 touchdown a game. Defensively, they're playing pretty similarly, but the Salt Life are hurting more people. Resisting play. Do they have their blood spawn? Are they healthy? Bloodseeker's out, Korngor's out, and a Blood Marauder. So 2 players are coming on. That's 1260 then. And then we're looking at Stinky Skinks are 1115, missing a Saurus blocker. Um, they're going to get about 100K in inducements. So not really enough. They're probably taking like extra team training to get a third reroll. Um, I think this one's going to be a pretty easy one for Corn. Um, Sure Hands Extra Arms Defensive. That's cool. It's interesting. Different. Um, so is defensive a secondary for them? Really? Thought it was a strength. I guess not. Agility. Okay. Um, I don't know. I feel like Death Guard Hawkins is going to work some Saurus, work some Crocs, and create some space. I think they'll be just fine, even down the Bloodseeker. Um, they are missing a little bit of ball handling ability, as they're only sitting with one Korngor. Um, but I think it'll be fine. Like I said, they'll pick up a couple journeymen. Um, so looking at this, 2-0, Salt Life over the Stinky Skinks. Uh, this is a good one. This is kind of a playoff preview. Second and third place team, the Blackwater Prowlers and the Thunder Mountain Rampage. So these are two teams that I really think have a good chance of potentially winning the entire league. Um, so this may be almost like a championship matchup in some ways. Um, Prowlers are finding the end zone a little more, playing almost identical defense. The what do you call it? The Thunder Mountain Rampage are hurting more people, but the Prowlers are resisting more. Neither of these teams are going to foul. So what are we looking at? It's in graveyard weather. Um, the biggest thing I see is that there's only 3 guard here um, against 6 guard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guard. But a stronger team. There is a death roller, so you could be looking for some dirty player plus 2 fouls starting to pop up now. Um, hmm. I think you need to make sure you work this death roller. So what I would probably do if I was Eric is if he starts with the death roller, obviously score very quickly. If he doesn't start with the death roller, you need to remove at least one player, score late in the half, and then he only gets the death roller for like one turn, and then it's kicked off, and then he's down to 10 players. So you can kind of angle the secret weapons a little bit. As far as what Mark needs to focus on, obviously targeting werewolves. They're twice as fast. If you let them get by you, if your positioning is bad, you let them get by you, then you're going to have a hard time finding a way to catch up. So make sure I would keep a couple safeties back so that you could try and catch up with a kind of a breaking away werewolf or try and prevent that kind of play. But it looks like, what do I think is going to happen here? Oh, I'm going to say this is a 1-1 draw. I think both these teams will find the end zone fine. I do think a couple they're going to hurt each other pretty well. The claws from the werewolves are going to be blitzing players. This could be a time where the dwarves find themselves down players. They knock one off, death roller goes out, another one goes out. They could find themselves hard to cover the pitch. Um, so I think that in some ways I kind of give the edge to the Necromantic Horror in this matchup, but I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Um, next we have Valley Titans Midnight Maulers. Pray to your Lord, whoever they shall be, is what I should say. Um, I'm the Titans are going for some stat upgrades. It looks like they're close to getting up to 3 stat upgrades, so they could be walking in with more than likely some movement 8 players or movement 7 players. But they could be getting lucky enough to get either strength 4, agility 2 plus, some things that would make some of these blitzers really scary. 11 players, they got some money, 3 rerolls. They might pick up a 4th. And then we have the Midnight Maulers missing a blocker. Very little skills, but they got a few. They've got it scattered around, a couple sure hands. I don't know of any strip ball, but that'll help save some rerolls. 115K. I think they could buy oh, they have a Minotaur. I was gonna say I think they could buy a troll. He's got block. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. They are gonna get some inducements. Is it enough? Probably not. 1305 minus 1170, so 135. I don't think that's enough. That's not going to be enough to make a difference. Um, gosh. Chaos Undivided. You could take Papa Skullbones and hope to get some cool mutations, claws, mighty blow, whatever, and hurt some people. or tentacles or something, but it's going to be a tough one. I'm going to go 3-0 Titans over the Maulers. I think that's a pretty easy win for them. They just, I think at this point, want to avoid injury. Like I said, they've playoff locked, so the outcome of these last two games don't matter. They obviously want to get a lot of SPP on those players so they can get the stat upgrades they're looking for. But I don't think they're probably just looking to preserve themselves, not even looking to win big. Next, we have the Box Art Barons and the Fuzzy Teeth Fingerlings. Um, Box Art Barons, missing a lineman, sitting pretty good with bodyguards. The blitzers are there. No one can skill up unless they're randoms, which I would not advise. And then the Fuzzy Teeth Fingerlings are a healthy team. They do have two beer bores sitting at 115K. They might want to pick up the second Valkyrie. That's probably what I would do, just to have a 12th player. And so looking at this, the Barons are playing a little better offense. The defense is looking pretty good as well. And then um, we're also looking at brutality right now. Fuzzy Teeth Fingerlings are hurting more people. Resistance, pretty similar. What do I think is going to happen? I think this one, I haven't seen um, the coach for the Norse play, so I can't really comment on skill, but I think the Boxer Barons are kind of riding this high. I think I'm going to keep carrying them through that. I'm going to give them a 2-0 win in this matchup. And that does it for this round. So round 7 is in the books. Round 8 is underway. Good luck to all coaches in round 8. If you're in playoff contention, play hard, play strong. If you're not in playoff contention but playing someone who is, prevent them from getting in it by playing as hard as you can as well. Finish these last two rounds as strong as we can. We'll call the season 8 regular season in the books, get into the playoffs, and then we'll start talking about what we want to do afterwards, whether we want to try kind of like our D League format again, take a break, do a short season that ends before the holidays. There's a couple options out there, but let us know your thoughts. And everybody have a good round. Have a good rest of the week. And yeah, good luck in your matches.